Hello! Recently I've been seeing a lot of people claiming that new legacy weapons have been discovered and that everybody should get on it. I've never had a legacy myself, but I've heard that they used to be game-breaking weapons. I was a bit skeptical of the claims, so I tested it to see if it's just people being hyperbolic, or if this is actually a top tier weapon that you should get before it's banned. Firstly, what is it? It's a version of the plasma flamer that's got extended range. To get one you start with a normal plasma gun. This doesn't work with enclave plasmas, it has to be a normal plasma. But you can use legendary and unique guns like the Slugbuster. Apply the line flamer barrel first, then apply the pulse capacitor second. That turns the flame into firebolts that have a much longer range than the normal plasma flamer. For the rest of the video I'll be calling it a pulse flamer. You get to keep all the other properties of the flamer. So it has the same damage rating, it has the same massive clip capacity, and it has the same BATS accuracy ratings. The range number is also the same, but the weapon can still fire beyond that, just like other rifles. The Slugbuster is a good candidate for a pulse flamer, because it's got a hidden minus 20% action point cost that should allow you to use BATS more often. What I did was test 3 weapons to see how they compare. The first is the Slugbuster with its default anti-armor and 50% better criticals effect. It's been modified to the pulse flamer setup like we discussed before. Second is the default enclave plasma flamer with no legendary effects. And third is an anti-armor primed enclave plasma rifle. They have different legendary properties as you can see, and the point is to contrast how the different weapon types play rather than which weapon does the most damage. So I won't really focus on the differences in damage between the 3 weapons. So how does the pulse flamer behave? You'll notice right away that the aiming crosshairs do not get bigger when you move or when you fire. This is just like the flamer. On the other hand, the rifle has recoil and automatic firing makes you less accurate. But the rifle also has no error when you aim down sights, whereas the flamers always have some error margin. So the pulse flamer is better for sustained automatic fire, whereas the rifle is better in short bursts when aiming down sights. Some people have claimed that the pulse flamer has infinite range, but this is not completely true. It is true that the fire bolts will fly straight and hit enemies, but the pulse flamer still has the same short range as the normal flamer, and the distance penalty will come into play. BATS accuracy goes to hell very quickly. The pulse flamer still fires fast enough that you can raise the accuracy very quickly, especially if you have criticals, but there is a noticeable disadvantage if you're trying to snipe. Damage also drops off with distance. Close up you can do similar levels of damage as the flamer. But there is one caveat. The pulse flamer does not have the area of effect damage that the flamer does. You can only hit one enemy at a time, and it does look like the rate of damage is a bit lower than the flamer. Not by much, but it does seem lower. And it's better than the rifle up close because of the lack of recoil. The situation is reversed when you're dealing with enemies further out. The pulse flamer loses quite a lot of damage. It's still as accurate, but the damage you do drops off a cliff. Of course the flamer can't even reach that far. The rifle doesn't experience any distance penalties, so it's superior at range, especially if you use BATS and crits. It's best to use the pulse flamer at close or medium range, where you can take advantage of its sustained fire rate without losing too much damage because of the distance penalty. My assessment of the pulse flamer is that it mixes features of both the plasma flamer and the plasma rifle. As we saw before, it performs similarly to the rifle, but it retains the advantages of automatic fire that the flamer gives you. Aside from the damage drop off due to distance, it's roughly comparable to the plasma rifle, and you can use it like that. That still leaves you with a hugely increased clip size, so going with the pulse flamer configuration gives you the equivalent of a free quad legendary effect. One slight disadvantage is that you can't use prime capacitors, so you miss out on a bit of damage, and you may have to carry multiple types of ammunition, but the weapon is powerful enough to give you a surplus in every fight, so you should not run short on ammo. Overall I wouldn't say that it's a legacy in the sense that it's game breaking. It's not obviously superior in how much damage it does, but it does have some nice advantages that you can enjoy. People that hate reloading will probably like it. I have no idea if the devs will be looking to disable this, but if you do like the pulse flamer, you may want to make one now and stash it just in case. I recommend the Slugbuster as a good candidate for this, especially because it's extra light, so you should be able to carry one without too much issue. Thanks for watching all the way to the end. Let me know what you thought about it in the comments. Feel free to leave a like, subscribe and hit the bell button to be notified when new videos come out. See you soon.